Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2018. And tonight's topic is how much gold is smuggled into India. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. How much gold is smuggled into India. But before we get to tonight's topic, let's talk about what happened during the day. Actually, today, quite a few things happened today, starting early in the morning. Apparently, Rouhani, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the head of Iran had made a threat that the United States should not get involved with Iran, and that prompted Donald J. Trump to fire off a cap-laden tweet that read, "Dear Iranian President Rouhani, never ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer consequences the like of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious." And that was out early in the morning. Later in the day, the president also made news. This has been brewing for a couple of days now. It's come to the attention of a few people that a lot of the people in the FBI and the CIA, after they leave their positions, they still hold security clearances, in some cases top secret security clearances. And I guess it's come to the attention of some that the hostile reactions, especially of Brennan and Comey, perhaps, and it may not be a good thing for them to have it. And Brennan the other day had said something like, the way this president is acting, maybe the intelligence community should withhold information from him. And then he went on to call the president treasonous and that he's a vile person going to the dustbin of history. So it's interesting to me that this has become even an issue. I'm just surprised to know that the people even have the clearances after they leave. You know, when you leave a company, they take your badge. Even if you're leaving on good terms, there's no reason for you to have your access to the company's information. Now, I understand in intelligence, there may be some benefit to keeping people on that have knowledge that can break down maybe what something means. They can help out. And, of course, that's if everyone's on the same page, despite any partisan differences. If you're working for the FBI or the CIA, you're working for the United States. You're not working for Obama. You're not working for Trump. But in this case, it seems that some in the intelligence community have a very deep animus towards Trump. And so today, they announced that perhaps Trump is looking to rescind some of those security clearances. And then we went into the typical back and forth with the people that are against Trump, saying this is petty. Clapper was on TV. Brennan. It's interesting is these guys that no longer work in the securities apparatus, the security apparatus of the United States, they're now on television. They were saying that they're monetizing their intelligence. Now, I don't know if they claim that they don't access the security top secret information, but the point is that they can. And rather than this being a partisan issue, I'm just surprised, just as a matter of national security, I think that the the president should, at the beginning of the administration, make a determination as to who they think they would need to continue to have those clearances. But as a rule, I would think they should revoke all of them when they come in within the first 90 days, just to get some continuity, make sure that there's a turnover of the information if there's any personnel turnover. But that happened today, and that's become a big brouhaha. Also today, South Africa, this was in the news the other day, and it became one of these stories that gold mining isn't profitable, and they cited South Africa. And it's true, South African gold mining is not profitable. And there's a reason for that. It's because AngloGold came out today and mentioned that the mines are old, and it's going to be very hard to make those mines profitable again. And the thing about South African mines is South Africa used to be the world's biggest gold producer. Well, there's a reason why they aren't anymore, is because they were for the longest time, and they've depleted a lot of their mines. So gold mining in South Africa is no longer profitable, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't mean that gold mining throughout the world isn't profitable. Also, I wanted to get to a comment just from last night's talk. We were talking about cryptocurrencies, and my point of view was that these things are going to be co-opted by governments, by regulators, and so on. And I got a very interesting comment here. It says, I know you've been making the pitch that governments don't want to outlaw cryptos, they just want to regulate. However, if they're going to regulate cryptos, then what's the point? I got into cryptos because it's like the Wild West. Once it's tamed, might as well just use cash. I lost interest since Wall Street got involved. Now remember, this is very important to understand the way how the Smaulgld channel works. That's the point. I don't have a horse in the race to the extent that I'm going to pick a side or a narrative and then promote that narrative. My understanding, the way I analyze it, was I think that we're heading towards this regulatory, perhaps takeover of the cryptocurrencies. There were always two sides to this. The one side was the people that hated cryptos, where cryptos are going to be banned, and there was another side to it, people that love cryptos. They were going to create this world-changing alternative financial system. And basically both sides hyped and pumped and insisted they were right. And my objective analysis rejected both of those visions or narratives. And I may be wrong, but I'm not going to promote it as a narrative. It's what I see happening, and I think it is happening. And if it starts not to happen, and it starts like they're looking to ban cryptocurrencies, I will change my analysis and say it looks like they're heading to ban them. Or if it looks like cryptos are taking over the world and are going to crush central banks, then I'll take that point of view. But I took the point of view that I took based on what I was seeing in the market. So those of you who are new to this channel, that's the way I look at things. I look at things and I try to analyze them objectively. When we hear stories about gold-backed yuan or game changers or whatever it is, I try to look deeper and see if perhaps the story has some legs. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now you should be looking at on your screen, I think we've got some people who have received their Smaulgld mugs. And we've got 3 of them there, and they've been shipped out over the last week or so. So more shall be arriving at your doorsteps if you have indeed ordered a Smaulgld mug. Let's take a look at the prices of gold and silver. They went down again today. Not a big drop. They fell, but they somewhat recovered. So gold closed at 1223, a little bit lower than that, and it had been as high as 1232 at the open. So it was a $8 or $9 drop. Silver dropped a bit more on a percentage basis. Silver opened at around 1545 and then closed at 1532. In the new trading that just started, it's at about 1535. All right. Now, if you're looking at those mugs there, you'll realize that they're quite attractive mugs and people are buying them. But why are people buying these Smaulgld mugs? Because they are smart. They like Smaulgld mugs. Smaulgld mugs are made in China. Smart people are buying Smaulgld mugs hand over fist. Smaulgld mugs are real wealth. You can put coffee in a Smaulgld mug and also whiskey or in a jar. Smaulgld mugs will never go to zero. You can measure your wealth in mugs. And that's your example. That is your reason to buy Smaulgld mugs. They will never go to zero. And there are many muggages too. So if you get these mugs, there's only going to be a limited number of these mugs that are ever going to be made. So if you're interested in getting a mug, go over to smaulgld.com and pick up your mug. Also, I am putting the finishing touches on the Smaulgld store. There will be other items that you'll be able to order directly, and they'll be shipped from the manufacturer. I'm going to have lots of things for your office, Post-its, pens, pads, t-shirts, baseball caps, magnets, erasers, and so on. So look for that in the next couple of days. All right, let's take a look now at the topic, how much gold is smuggled into India. Well, India, as you know, is even before China get in on all this, India has had a historic relationship with gold going back 5,000 years. It's revered. No matter what the Indian government does, the Indian people still want gold. And Indians buy it when the rural farmers have good crop seasons, there's a good monsoon, they have some extra rupee. They flip that into not necessarily gold bullion, but gold jewelry, things that they can hold on to. And it's very important in the culture in India. And we've noticed over the last few months, 6-7 months, that Indian silver imports have really started to pick up again. The price of silver is low, and India has industrial need for it. It's got a middle class that's growing that likes silver and is buying silver. So there's a lot of imports of silver into India. Now, both silver and gold have to be imported into India, mostly because they don't have domestic mining supply. They have virtually no gold mining supply, and they've got, I think, about 20 million ounces worth of silver mining. So that's just not going to cover their 300 million, 200 million ounces of silver that they might need in a given year. But this year, it's odd, is that the silver imports are on record pace, and gold is slumped 25, 30, 35% lower than last year, which was not a record year. It was a good year, but gold imports are going lower. Now, I've had discussions with people in the past, and when you tell them that Indian gold imports are down, they insist that the smuggling is up. Now, you have no way of knowing that. You can infer it, but you really don't know what's going on with, because they don't keep track. If the government can keep track of the smuggling, well, then they could stop it, which they can't. They can only report what they actually stop. But when you stop somebody at the border, you arrest them for smuggling, you can tally up how much you've captured from them, but you have no idea how much has got through. And I think probably the easiest way to catch people smuggling gold is probably at the airport. But given that India is a massive country, I'm sure gold can come in through the border very easily. It's got a big border, and a lot of gold can probably get in through ports, through the through the land border. So we really don't know how much gold is being smuggled in. However, you do see, and we have seen in the last year or two, some big increases in the amount of arrests that you're seeing with people coming in to the country with gold. And they're very, very creative. Let me just take you through some of these smuggling things that we've seen. The most recent one I saw today, very, very interesting. And I don't know how you explain this, but apparently they get the gold into a paste. And it looks like a turd, and they showed pictures of this. I'll try to leave a link. You know what? I can do that for you right now. Let me get a link, and I'll put it in the notes here. And that's how they get the gold into the country, but of course they didn't. There's the link from the Hindu. So they smuggled the gold in that way, in a paste. There's some other clever ways in which they get the gold in. This one's my favorite because it requires a little, I guess it's intelligence. Guy gets on a plane in another country. He doesn't declare the gold, and he gets on a plane in another country where they're not really checking everyone getting on for what they have. It's more up to India to check them when they get off. So the guy gets on the plane, and he brings his gold on. Makes a trip to the bathroom, and when he's there, he takes the gold and he hides it somewhere in the bathroom. And then he lands in India. He's in Mumbai, wherever he is. He gets off the plane, no issue. His buddy gets on the same plane, prearranged, or his co-conspirator, and he's going from Mumbai to Delhi. Gets on the plane. Now, once you're in the country, there's no smuggling issues. He takes a trip to the bathroom, finds where it's hidden, and then he goes and gets off the plane in Delhi, and now he's got the gold duty-free. Other ones, they put them in the slipper. Remember the shoe bomber, where people were worried about where the guy would put the explosives in his shoes? Well, they put the gold in slippers. There was one woman who had them in slippers, and I think she was wrapping it around the sides of the slipper, so it's inside. She wasn't just standing on it, but it was part of the slipper within, stitched inside the sides of the shoe. And she was making many trips that way. And then, of course, people just put it in their bags, and sometimes it gets through. But almost on a daily basis, you can find the most common way of people bringing in gold, and that's hiding it in the rectum. And it's interesting because you have to snicker because the amounts that they have. I'm looking at a list of headlines here, and they range from a few hundred grams to a few kilos. It's like, how much gold could you possibly bring in? And then if you think about how much gold, how do they even know, that they have the gold there? And anyway, so it's a big deal. I think we don't know how much, but when you see an increase in these stories, I think it's because maybe the official numbers may be low, but perhaps there's really a lot of gold smuggling going on. All right. Well, let's see. Looks like the comments here are only one person, which is strange because we have a large number of people checked in tonight, but no one's leaving comments. All right. Well, we're going to take... Gus has the floor. Gus the Broken has the floor. He's left a bunch of comments. I'm going to check those comments out and see what he has to say. All right, let me get over to the comments. I'll close some windows here. Oh, I didn't give the crypto numbers for today, so why don't we do that while we're waiting for more comments. But as we mentioned the other day, for the last 6-7 days, cryptocurrencies had a spike up, and then they've pretty much leveled off and held those gains. And it's been Bitcoin this time leading the charge. Bitcoin is at 7,700 right now. It's held its gains. The other coins like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, they rose too, but they fell back and they've pretty much stabilized where they are. So Bitcoin 7,700, Ethereum under 450. It had reached over 500 almost. Bitcoin Cash is below 800, and Litecoin had gotten over 90, and now it's about $81. All right, Gus, well, you've got the floor. Let's see what you got. All right. He's just commenting that people are not commenting. This is a very odd evening. It is a crime. It's not a crime to comment. Come on, peeps. Oh, there you go. It looks odd here. You're right, Gus. Maybe they've... I wanted also to mention that I had received word earlier today that the SGT report YouTube channel has been taken down. Now this is disturbing because they don't tell you why. You get 3 strikes for violating the community guidelines, and when you read the community guidelines, they basically say you can't, I don't have them in front of me, but it's like you can't promote violence. There's a lot of, you can't be nasty. And then it even says, while many people would not intentionally violate the guidelines, because obviously if you want to get kicked off, you just have to go on and cuss and swear and make all types of threats and everything, and you would get kicked off. But apparently some people do that and they don't get kicked off. But what happened to the SGT report YouTube channel was just taken down. Now he had known he had 2 strikes, wasn't quite sure why he had them. And what's disturbing is that you could take 2 points of views, but either point of view there's something wrong. The first point of view, I think you can say, okay, YouTube is a private company. They can kick you off, they cannot kick you off, as long as they let you know. But the problem with that point of view is, it's not that simple, because their guidelines entice you, encourage you, or the ability to post on YouTube is there so that you can use the platform, and supposedly that's a benefit not just to you, but to YouTube, because they want to build out an audience. Now, if they don't like to have you on the platform, you could take the view, well, that's fine, but they should tell you, we don't like your content, and here's what it is we don't like about it, and then you could just pack up and leave, or you can copy all your stuff and leave. But instead, they give you a strike and they don't tell you, then they give you another strike, and then boom, you're gone. And the problem with that is that you have no idea what happened. That content is yours, but they've pulled it off. Now you could say you should have saved it, but that's not the point. I think if you're going to run a business and you don't want this type of content, they should specifically say. Now maybe they don't tell you because they realize that that might be that might get them in trouble because they would be discriminating. But I don't know. Now the other way of looking at it is once you reach a certain size, some like to make the argument that companies like Google and Facebook, and they're like public utilities. I don't like that argument as much because then you have to rely on a government solution to basically tell them that you cannot deny someone's service. Now, for example, like your telephone, that's a public utility. They can't kick you off your phone service because you are saying stuff they don't like. But you never know, they might get to that point. So the interesting thing with YouTube is if they don't like this content, they don't think that the advertiser like it, that's fine. I'm just surprised that there haven't been more other types of services. Now there is, I think, DTube. There is one called BitChute. There's Vimeo. There was one, I forgot, I was on it. I don't remember. It went out of business. And now there's a new one out by the guy from, I think he's from the Health Ranger, yes. And he has a new service. You know, it's very expensive to set up these services because you have to host all of these videos. But I still would imagine that there would be a competitor. But here's the reason why there isn't, is because if there's no money in it, why would anyone do it? Now, under the Chicago School of Economics, you would say when somebody has a monopoly, they're making monopoly-style profits. But that's okay because they deserve that monopoly because they're providing a better service. And if somebody else wants to provide that service, the only thing stopping them is money, because if they can get the monopoly, they will make monopoly-style profits too if they manage to knock off the monopoly. The problem with today's monopolies in media are there is no profit in it. So you're having a monopoly on something that really isn't valuable in monetary terms. What's it valuable for? Well, it's valuable for governmental terms or political terms because you control the conversation. But if YouTube or any of these services, Twitter, Facebook, BitChute, don't make any money, why would a rational business owner want to go into them? So that's really what's holding back competition, because there's no benefit into competing. So Walmart, you could say, well, I hate Walmart. Walmart is no good. They do not sell Smaulgld mugs. Well, you can compete with Walmart. You can say, well, I don't have the money to do it. Well, if you thought that competing with Walmart would lead you to the promised land and you can convince investors, you could. I mean, you could try to raise, there's nothing stopping you from trying to raise $500 billion to get started. So I don't mind monopolies that can be assailed on the basis that if somebody wants to come in and spend the money, let them have at it. And if they manage to knock off Walmart, they may make prices cheaper in the process. The problem with these media conglomerates are they're not based on profit. So they can lose money, or they can be run at a loss because a parent company makes money. So for example, if Google's making money on its search, it can fund losses in YouTube. The company's name, I think, for the Health Ranger one is Real.video. So we'll see what happens with those. Now, if it is still, even a free market can, if it's not based on profit, you can still have competitors. If there's some political angle, well then rich people or whatever could possibly get together and fund YouTube competitors, Facebook competitors, or whatever. I don't know. See, the thing like eBay, there is what they call a network effect. You can only really be one eBay, because if you want to sell your products, you want to reach the most number of people. And if you want to go find what you're looking for, you're going to have to go to the place where the most number of sellers are. Chances are that's going to be one place, and eBay will basically get a monopoly. But not so much with the content, because you don't use YouTube because it has the most content. You use YouTube because you found dozen, 3 dozen, whatever it is, content providers, and you could just as easily go somewhere else to see them. So I'm just surprised that there hasn't been a move away. Why YouTube would have such a dominant position, because from a market standpoint, it doesn't seem like it should. All right. Brazil expressed that probably the customs will start stocking castor oil and make everyone suspect they have to drink it. I would take it that castor oil is a laxative. All right. I love YouTube, but sometimes they piss me off. Yeah, I think it's a good service. And one of the things also that a lot of people say about it is if you go to some of the other services, they're not as user-friendly. So my problem with it is I think that they should tell you what you're doing wrong so that you can not do it. But just to kind of cloak it in silence. And that leads to people, clearly, if you don't know, your imagination runs wild. You could say it's because I did this or that. And then you can claim it's some type of persecution. And it may be, or it may not be. But the fact that they don't tell you, then it's difficult to. I think that's why they don't tell you. They don't want a record of saying why you've been booted. All right, timing of what to eat 30 minutes before airport arrival. Yeah, I don't know how that smuggling process works. All right. Well, that looks like we're about done with the comments. A very quiet group tonight. But thank you very much for joining. And if you'd like your Smaulgld mug, I will leave you the link so you can go and pick up Smaulgld mugs. Those will be delivered directly by me with a personal note. When I get the Smaulgld store up and running, you'll be able to order other products directly from, and they'll ship direct. And I think you can even customize some of them, which would be good if you like sizes or different colors. I know somebody wanted a gold and black Smaulgld mug. But if you'd like to become a Smaulgld patron, please consider doing that. Also, please subscribe to the Smaulgld website, because you never know. What this Google thing or YouTube thing is somewhat concerning, because they take you off and now you're like, where do I go to find SGT or Smaulgld or whatever the channel is? At least if you're on the registered with the Smaulgld website, and you should subscribe here too, but if for whatever reason they deem me or you or anybody on this channel offensive and they shut it down, then you don't know where to go. So it's always best to subscribe to the content provider's own website and be there. Also, it helps to donate. You can donate to your favorite content providers, including Smaulgld and your other favorite content providers. I have Patreon set up. I have PayPal set up. And I even have Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, and I'll give you those as well. So it's important to support your favorite content provider. I would say especially the small ones, like Smaulgld, who don't have a lot of patrons. Some of the larger ones seem to be. I mean, I think the guy's name is. What is his name? Sargon of Akkad. I think he has 3,800 patrons. Oh, good for him. But I think he's making decent money doing that. I think I have 12. Anyway, that shouldn't probably factor into your analysis, but maybe it should. Anyway, there's the links. So I appreciate any donations. And also, if you'd like to buy gold or silver, I do have affiliate links. Smaulgld gets a small commission if you do buy gold or silver from the website, from the links below this BitChute or YouTube or on the Smaulgld site. You pay no more nor less than if you visited those sites directly. And it's not investment advice to buy gold or silver, but you can compare pricing and shipping. You can buy gold, silver, platinum. And if you do buy, Smaulgld does make a small commission. Thank you very much for listening tonight, and join us every night at this time at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I did get some requests from some Europeans that maybe we should try to do it a little earlier. That's harder for me, but I might be able to get in a noon Eastern Time, which might help out in Europe, because that would make it 5, 6 o'clock in the evening there. I know Gus probably would like that. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, Jonathan Rigo, how come you don't do this as podcast? Well, that's what I've been doing. Salivate Metal is here. I want to hold on a minute. I want to express a multitude of gratitude to Salivate Metal for joining us. Salivate Metal, we just finished up. We talked about smuggling gold into India, but I am on the way out the door, so you didn't miss it. But Jonathan Rigo is raising a question. Just missed it down. No, Jonathan, how come you don't do this as a podcast? What type of podcast are you talking about? I'd like to explore whatever makes sense for me, whatever makes sense for listeners. I'm not married to doing Smaulgld live streams on YouTube for sure, especially what after happened when you see what happened to SGT Report. Well, the problem with this I know, Jonathan, is when this finishes, you cannot download it automatically. There's a guy in Sweden who tells me that his app doesn't work because this may show up on YouTube and you can play it immediately after we finish and we hit stop, but it's not fully uploaded, so it will not upload, and it's not automatic, so there is an issue with that. And then he has to go and manually upload everything or download it to his device. But what type of podcasts are you talking about? What are you using them on? Apple, or what's the platform? Let me know. All right. So that does it. I am going to sign off now unless there's any further questions. Looks like there's none. Thank you, Salivate, for joining us at the very end here. You can go back and listen. I don't think you missed much tonight, but have a good night.